Okay, welcome in, you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is our last session in our Smart Files series that we've been working on for the last 2 months, I want to say. So I am so excited that you guys are here. This is our last one, like I said. So we are here for the HoneyBook HotSeat, which is all about bringing process to life with Smart Files today. We've got an amazing plan in store for you all. So can't wait to dive in. Okay, let me go ahead and go through a quick agenda with you guys. So this is a hot seat session. If you've been to one of these in the past, we are choosing a lucky audience member to come up on screen with us, and we are going to live audit their account. Obviously, you guys can see Regina is here too. She's a HoneyBook Pro. We'll be getting into introducing her in a couple of minutes. And we're all going to kind of put our heads together and make sure that our hot seat member has their account set up to the best of their abilities and is really taking full advantage of the HoneyBook tools. So that is going to be our main focus today, is going to just be looking at a real use case, a real member just like you guys, and take a look at how they're using the tools, how they could be using them better. And that's going to be our full time today. So super excited. Without further ado, I need to introduce myself. If you guys have not met me before, my name is Mac. I'm part of the product education team here. I've been with the company for 5.5 years, so I've seen it go through many, many different iterations. This is definitely the biggest transition or newest feature we've come out with since I've been here. So Smart Files is what we've been talking about for the last 2 months. If you missed our other sessions, I highly recommend you go and check those out. They're full of content around different connection of tools in the HoneyBook system, from Smart Files to automations, to scheduling, to service selection, all of that good stuff. So really gives you a full, big picture of how to use the HoneyBook tools. So definitely go check out those other sessions as well. And I want to take a couple seconds to let you guys learn who Regina is. Regina, welcome. We are so excited to have you here. Can you introduce yourself and the HoneyBook Pro program to the audience today?
Hey, absolutely. Thanks so much for the introduction, Mac. My name's Regina Martinez. I'm a HoneyBook Pro. I've been with the system for years, but I also run out of micro businesses and HoneyBook as well. So basically, as a HoneyBook Pro, I love working with people one-on-one. So I love holding your hand, helping you brainstorm the process, helping you plan what smart files you want to use, helping you polish them and bring your vision to life. Because my goal for all my clients is I want you to wake up in the morning and love using HoneyBook. I want you to love your templates. I want you to love your automations you have working for you. So that's really my heart and my goal for people whenever they use HoneyBook.
Amazing. I love it. Yes. And you kind of specifically focus on systems and automations too when you're helping folks out. Is that right?
Right. So I love working with people who work in HoneyBook who already have an existing account and they need help optimizing what they currently have. And also, I just want to give a shout out to the HoneyBook Pro platform. If you guys have an interest in a different service you need help with, like marketing, SEO, social media management, there are a lot of other HoneyBook Pros who specialize in different areas. My area of expertise is systems, automations, and templates. But there are a lot of other HoneyBook Pros you can check out as well.
Awesome. Love it. Great. So I want to also take a couple minutes before we get our hot seat member up here, just to kind of level set with you guys and introduce you to what Smart Files are. I see some people in the chat already wondering how they get access, wondering what to do, what these things are. So I want to level set with you guys for a second and just give us a definition so we're all kind of on the same page as we head into today's session. So big picture, Smart Files help you level up your process from both a design and function perspective. So in yesterday's world, in HoneyBook, outside of HoneyBook, your process was defined by relatively rigid, kind of predefined formats and structures of files. You know, an invoice is just kind of a basic page that has bill to info, itemized list of what the client's receiving, maybe has a payment schedule. And if you're using a payment tool like HoneyBook, you also had the client's ability to pay. So it could really only do that one thing. Like even if in HoneyBook's old version of this, the brochure file was probably the most robust file that we offered, and you could ask questions, display services, and you could have like text and images. But that was pretty much where the buck stopped. It was kind of 1 to 2 functions, and the design functionality was pretty limited as well. So now with Smart Files, we're really allowing you to kind of sit in the driver's seat and define what your files need to look like. So you have a ton of customization there, and they can do whatever you need them to do. So any one single file is going to represent a single client interaction. We haven't changed that, right? Like it's still a file. A file still represents a single client interaction. So what do you need that file to do? Do you need it to contain services and an invoice? Do you need it to contain questions and a contract? What does your process require of the file? And that's what you build into the HoneyBook system. So we're really giving you that kind of flexibility, okay? So let's take a look at what these can actually do when we're looking at the new builder in HoneyBook and a smart file, and we're going to set those up. These are the kind of options that you're given when you're going to build them. So let's take a look at these tools and actions that are available. Okay, so you've got text here, really straightforward. You can type whatever you need to type, say whatever you need to say. Questions, these are like forms, right? You need to collect information from the client at any stage. So you can get feedback on designs. You can get qualifying information from them to decide if you're a good mutual fit. You can get feedback during the offboarding process. Whenever you need to ask your client a question and collect that as some kind of form, that's where questions are going to come into play. Video is another one that we've added here, which is super exciting. This is a great way to stay super personalized with your clients, welcome them, explain your services, show you in your element, show happy clients, client testimonials, whatever you want to do. Video is an amazing, amazing way to have that really personal connection with your clients without it having to be unique every single time. We've got invoicing in here, of course, service selection, which I've teased to a little bit, kind of similar to the brochure file, right? So if you were a big brochure fan, the service selection, we've just kind of renamed it a little bit. And now it's allowing same functionality. It's allowing your clients to select the services that they're interested in moving forward with. Super powerful when combined with the invoicing tool because it really creates that kind of hands-off booking idea, which is what we spent an hour going through in last week's session. If you want to go back and check that one out, we go through that a ton in more detail. And of course, contracts and e-signatures. So any one file can do any of these things. It's just up to you to decide and determine what's most important there. Okay. So I want to get our HotSeat member up here so we can dive in and get into the good stuff here. So let's get Lauren up on screen. Lauren, I'm going to go ahead and give you access to turning on your mic, turning on your camera. And while we do that, I am going to pull up our information on Lauren. We are so excited to have Lauren here, you guys. She is the owner of The Heart Narrative. Welcome, Lauren. So I want to get her up here so we can talk to her a little bit about how long she's been in business, tell us a little bit more about her services, what she offers, and all of that good stuff. Lauren, let me know if we can get your camera on and everything.
I have my audio. Oh, here we go.
Cool.
There. Hi. Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let me move you to my main screen since that's where my video is, and that way I'm not looking to the side here.
Okay, great. And let me.
Okay. I'm Lauren Lewis. I am a family and milestone photographer based in central Indiana. I serve like the northern Indianapolis area. I've been a photographer now for 4.5 years, 4 years ish. You know, like you've got like the starting growing pains, and then like you're like, oh, I'm actually a photographer now. So, yeah. But I've been in business. I do this full time. I really love photography. I love what I do, and being super ADHD. And for a while, I was running 2 businesses. I ran a daycare and photography. And for me, HoneyBook was the only way that I was able to manage that work-life balance and be able to like see my clients and see the portals and keep everybody organized and make them feel like they had a photographer who was as connected with them as they are with each other, which is really important to me. And
I love that.
And not drop any balls because I juggle all the balls all the time. I'm sure we all, especially if you guys are moms, know.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, Regina and I were just talking about that. The mompreneur mix it's a whole different ball game. So we love it. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of your like core services that you're offering? Because I know you've got a couple of different like package options. And Lauren, just to kind of preface that too, we are just going to focus on one service type today, just to keep us in one lane and not too scattered, trying to solve, all of the services. So tell us your different services, and then let me and Regina know what service you want to kind of focus on today.
Yeah. So I market myself as a family newborn and newborn lifestyle and milestone photographer, which all kind of lumps together as far as like kids, families, whatever. I found the best way when I did this was to offer 3 different packages. One was like your basic milestone, just the kid. And what I call a wholehearted package, which is your basic family session, which is probably what I'm assuming we'll focus on today, as well as what I call my legacy package, which is an hour and a half. And that's where I encompass my newborn and my extended family. So it's so much easier to just call these by a different package name and say, this is included with families, yada, yada. The nice thing about that I noticed with the smart files is it'll let my families choose. And I've actually had families where I would have normally just assumed and sent a wholehearted 45-minute package to, but they've selected the legacy. So not narrowing that down and keeping that package kind of open and that set price and set images. And then I do upgrades, but that's a different software. But yeah, the wholehearted is my basic, like 45 minutes. They get 20 images from a fully edited gallery, and then they can choose those 20 images or upgrade. But that's like my main bread and butter.
Okay. Awesome. Regina, do you have any kind of clarifying questions before we go a little bit more into her process?
Yeah, I want to go back to what kind of upgrades. Do you ever send them a brochure, or you get them to select different upgrades? I know you said you can do that later.
I do. I can edit, like if they choose those upgrade packages, when they book, I can just edit it in my delivery gallery software. I do have it like set up in my brochure where I have like the legacy, and I'm doing this, but you can't see. I have the legacy and wholehearted, and then underneath it'll give you like service upgrades. So there's like 3 different packages. One's like all digitals, one's digitals and print credit, one's like all digitals and print credit and lifetime blah 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 blah. So I do give those as options underneath the brochure. Maybe this is something you guys can help with. I've never had anybody select it.
Yes.
9 times out of 10, nobody ever selects it. And so then I sell on the back end. Once they get the galleries, then they go, oh, what about this? And what about that? And I have to answer a million questions. So if we can find a way to streamline that from the get-go, that would be beautiful.
Cool. Okay, great. Cool. So I want to get a little bit more nitty gritty into your process here, Lauren. And I know we asked you some of these questions ahead of time to kind of get your gears turning. So we're really just going to focus on kind of the inquiry through booking part of your process today, just to really nail down and get that in like a super, super rock solid place, so that by the time you get to your session, you're feeling like that part is really functioning like a well-oiled machine. So for starters, I want to kind of introduce the audience and just refresh our own memories around where your clients are coming from, where your leads coming from. How are they letting you know that they're ready to book their next session? Like, what is that process for your business?
It comes in a couple different ways. This year has been the year where I've let go of my daycare business, and I've let my kids age out. and so it was really important for me to focus on the marketing end and bringing in more clients. But for the gist of it, I'd say 70% of my clients are repeat clients that come back to me over and over again. I do get some word of mouth, but most of my clientele are repeat clients who have been there. I have worked on my marketing. I've worked more on SEO and invested in somebody who can help me with the website and that end of it this year. I've invested in somebody. We actually worked through HoneyBook to help me with my Pinterest end and blogging, because that's what they call evergreen, where basically your content is always there and out there in the universe versus constantly making new with social media. And so I've actually gotten a huge uptick of Google inquiries since investing in my SEO. But that's where I struggle a little, because I feel like those Google inquiries are kind of putting out feelers everywhere, and whoever responds first is the first person that gets them. Not always, but I've noticed an increase versus if it's a repeat client or word of mouth. If they've chosen you, they know that you're their photographer.
Right.
So it's a matter of, like, from the get-go, when they inquire through Google, getting them and keeping them so that they don't ghost or choose someone else. Did that answer your question? I ramble.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. And I think it's helpful for the audience too, because as business owners, we're constantly trying to decide, like, how much do we invest in marketing? How much do we just rely on our clients that we know are our best clients? How do we attract more of our best clients? Like, that's a very normal struggle. Regina, do you have any follow-ups on any of that before we move on to the next step?
Lauren, I just want to say this. So I have almost the exact same target market as you do for one of my niche service businesses. The moms that I serve are moms who are crazy busy, who have screaming toddlers in the background. They got their 4-year-old. They also got their baby. And there are strategies to help book them very quickly. So that's why I'm excited to hear about the type of clients you have, because there's some really neat strategies you can use in your bookings to help you snatch up, convert some of those Google inquiries.
That's perfect, because that's what I really focus on is my ideal client is that crazy mom that is doing everything and really wants to capture these moments with her family, but it's also stressful because you have to choose outfits and you have to, and book and scheduling and yada, yada. And so to get that mom and reassure her that this is actually a fun process that your husband's going to enjoy and that isn't going to make you want to murder your kids. Like, I mean, let's be honest. So getting her and keeping her, and making her feel valued to you and like she found a friend, not just a business exchange, is really important to me, to be able to do it personally while still doing it seamlessly, as far as, like, I want everybody to feel that way that comes in. So
yeah, it's balance.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. And then to go into kind of your next step in your process, Lauren, can you tell us a little bit around, like, okay, so once you get your clients in, whether it's from Google or whether it's a repeat client, what's your typical next step? Do you want to try to get them on a call? Do you want to try to meet with them in person? Do you grab coffee? Are you sending them a pricing guide? How do you kind of decide? Is it a consistent experience, or do you kind of decide in the moment? Like, what's your next step for getting in touch with them?
I wish it was more consistent. I've tried a few different things, because that's what you do when you're trying things out, right? So right now I have it set up so that if they inquire through my website, let's pretend I've worked on my SEO, or somebody sends them to my website. They go through the booking. They tell me which section, what they want. I have it set up right now where it automatically sends the brochure, what was the OG brochure, but now I made it fancy with the smart file. So I'm sure we'll look at that.
Yeah.
And it'll reiterate basically everything that my website says, because I'm sure you guys know they don't always read the website and they want you to answer their questions without looking. So it kind of reiterates that information over and over again. So they'll get an email with the link to schedule a phone consult if they want. Or they can look at the brochure and choose what they want. And then at the end of that brochure, I have the questionnaire built into the smart file. It's not my basic family questionnaire. It's more of a, do you prefer weekends or weekdays? Do you like to kind of get a feel that way when I do talk to them? I already have a plan for what I'm going to tell them or offer them or dates or whatever nonsense. Okay. So after that, and I also, this is new, is I've started saying, if you're inquiring on a weekend, please know I'm either soaking in my family or I'm out on shoots, and I promise I'll get back to you first thing Monday morning. Way, if they inquire on a Friday night, they don't think, well, it's been 3 days and she hasn't gotten back to me. Right. Because a lot of photographers are weekend warriors, and that's when they get their stuff done. But for me, that's when I try to prioritize either my family or I'm shooting. I don't know if that's helped or not, but it's now a part of my email process. So then on Monday when I come in, I can see my inquiries, which this time of year in Indiana, you know, it's fall family photos. This is our Super Bowl. So I might have 3 or 4 inquiries when I come in on a Monday. And honestly, like, this might sound bad, but you can kind of tell who's feeling you out and who wants to book. So the people that I know are booking, I don't mess around with it phone call. I just automatically email them. These are the dates I have, blah, blah, blah. If you want to talk on the phone, I'm available. For the people who I can tell are still feeling me out, those are the ones that I call, because if I can get them on the phone and they see I'm a real person and they hear my crazy chaos in the background, it's easier to nail those people who are on the fence down via phone call. So that's kind of, I know that sounds crazy and sporadic, but that's been my system so far.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool. Any other clarifying questions around that, Regina?
No, but I just want to say, if you haven't done this recently, like, give yourself a pat on the back, okay? You're doing something that is tough. Running a business and all this chaos. I saw your website. It's beautiful, and I'm excited to help you streamline it even more whenever your clients actually get in touch with you. So no clarifying questions right now. I think I got it.
Okay, great. In the effort of time, I just want to actually hop into Lauren's account and kind of get started here. So let's pop into our templates. So, Regina, kind of based on our current conversations that we've had with Lauren, what do you think, like, where are you feeling like we should start, or what are some, like, what do you feel like our ideal kind of client flow that we could set up in HoneyBook is at this point, or like, where should we start?
I do have one more clarifying question for you, Lauren. I want to see if this is going to work for your process before Mac and I choose a file to work on. Have you tried an all-in-one booking flow? As soon as you get an inquiry that you think is interested, have you tried an all-in-one booking flow that lets them view services, pay an invoice, and sign their contract?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was complicated.
Okay.
So they were like, I know I didn't set it right. I'm sure it's user error. But I had it so that, like, they select what they want and it goes into this and I can already see it. And so I automatically will, like, shoot dates back and forth, and then the proposal goes from there. But I found out they were, like, getting multiple emails with different, it got really weird, and I felt like I know I was doing it wrong. That was my first, I felt like I was seeing them. I felt like I was sending them the brochure, and then they were turning around and doing the same thing again in the proposal.
So what works best for you is to separate the brochure from the invoice and contract. That works best for you, right?
That's what I switched back to, but I did try doing it all in one. I just felt like I was making it too complicated by having them select and then select again. Okay. And then, like, my whole MO is making things easy for parents. So I'm not against it. I just, I felt like I was doing too much. I was being too extra with it, and it made it weird.
Yeah. Awesome. That makes sense. So yeah, I'd say, Mac, we should either focus on her brochure to help her maybe get more people to select the add-ons,
Yeah.
or focus on streamlining the proposal.
Cool. Okay, so Lauren, I know you said the Whole Heart family is kind of the service you want to focus on today. Is this the typical proposal that you're using, this one here?
Yes.
Okay. And then...
And the thumbnail for that isn't what it looks like, but I'm sure that's just a...
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I know there's probably a Whole Heart like brochure in here somewhere too, yeah?
So, yeah. So I made like a giant brochure with like everything that I offer, and they could go through and select. And I feel like maybe that's called the pricing guide if you're looking for it. But then I started narrowing it down, and then just, I think, started doing the Whole Heart. I'm trying to pull this up so I can see what you're looking at.
Inquiry photography price guide, maybe.
Yep, that's what and it's busy. It's like 8 pages long. It's excessive.
Okay. Let's maybe start with this one. What do you think, Regina?
Yeah, let's start with this one. Is this what you would send out to people like who find you on Google? Is this the first smart file that they would see? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. And also, as just like a really quick kind of initial suggestion, as Regina and I were taking a look at your account just to kind of prepare for today's session, I feel like there's a couple quick things that you can do just around naming conventions and around folders, because the whole thing with smart files is every file can do everything. So by nature, it's going to get a little messy, which is why we allowed you guys to have folders so you can group things together. So I think this is the perfect opportunity for you to have folders based on your services.
Okay. So I started to do that, and that you can kind of see where I've got like a couple, and I'm pointing like you can see what I'm talking about. But I started that, but I haven't been able to have the time to go through and organize them completely.
And it also helps if you have a smart file that's not completed, it's not polished, you're not ready to send it out. I actually have a folder for extras. I literally title it extra. That way I know this is not ready to be sent out. It still needs polishing. So that for me has been really helpful whenever I'm designing smart files.
Okay, that's great to know.
Do you want me to set those up right now, Lauren, just really quick while we're here?
I would be your best friend ever.
Okay.
It's not something off our to-do list.
Yeah, let's get extras. Cool. So we've got extras here. And then rather than actually setting up where it's like pricing guides and proposals, my recommendation would be to set it up based on your services. So all of your Whole Heart client flow files are in one single folder. So if you're dealing with a Whole Heart client, all you have to do is go to that folder and access whatever file they need to be sent at a given moment.
That makes a lot more sense.
Because the other thing, and this is all tricky, right? Because this is all new to us. The other thing is you do have these filters up here. So you don't want your folders to duplicate what these filters are already doing. If you need to find an invoice, all you have to do is click invoice, and it's already going to filter for any file that contains that. So you don't want your folders to represent that. And I think for your specific case where you just have your 3 core services, even if you added a 4th, I think the folders are going to be best serving you if they're that way. And then it's going to make it so much more organized and easier for you to find what you need when you need it.
That sounds amazing. I just feel like when we made the transition from the legacy to the smart files, now I have like a jillion things that I have to like hunt through. I feel like that'll make it so much better, because half that stuff I don't even use anymore, and I've updated so much, and like it's a mess.
Yeah, especially if you're like using templates from the template gallery and stuff, and you're just sourcing things for inspiration. Like I love the idea of doing the extras folder, Regina. That's like the perfect solution.
Great. I love it.
Okay,
but
cool.
Now the goal is to polish it and get out of those extras folder. That's your homework.
Exactly. Cool. So let's take a look at your pricing guide. This looks gorgeous. I love this scroll to begin. That's super helpful for clients to kind of introduce them to how the file works.
I can't claim that. That was, I think, a template, part of the template that I stole.
No, I love this. This is great. And I did, okay, so in regards to the thumbnail not representing what the file actually looks like, so you can actually adjust that in the settings up here. So this still looks like the template from the template gallery.
Okay.
So I know it's a little hidden, and our goal is to have these dynamically update as you're updating the template. It's
okay
on the roadmap. Who knows when it's going to happen, kind of a thing. But like, that's definitely the intention, is to dynamically have it update.
Okay.
But for now, I would click in here and I would either remove the image or I would edit it to be that first image that's on the home page, so you know what you're looking at. Great. Setting expectations, scheduling a phone call, proposal. I love outlining steps like this. And I love that you like are talking about how you're setting expectations with your clients too, saying like, hey, on the weekends, this is how I operate, so that you're really inviting them into that experience with you. If you guys have been to any of my webinars recently, this is like the theme of the space I'm trying to get you guys all to live in. And I love that Lauren is like here with us doing this. Your clients are hiring you because you're the expert. They don't know what your process is. They don't know how you operate. So the more you can cue them in to that process, the more successful you're going to be, the happier your clients are going to be. The first step is you have to know what you're doing. You have to have this sense of ownership, of pride of ownership of what you're doing, and know enough to be able to cue them in and invite them into that process. So setting expectations like this, having your business hours, having your hours of operation, those things are so crucial to giving your clients that confidence in your business. So I love to see something like this as part of your welcome packet, because but part of it is selling your process too. So I love this.
I feel like making sure that my clients are well informed is part of what, like, and HoneyBook helps me do that, sets me apart from what everybody complains about as an oversaturated market. And not to be like, I never have problems getting clients because I feel like my communication is there, and I'm very non-confrontational. I hate telling people when there's a mistake or when there's like they're doing something wrong. And the better I can inform them of my client flow and what I'm doing, the better they show up the day of with the expectations of exactly how we're going to work together.
Yep. Exactly.
It's a time saver.
Yep. Right? 100%.
Absolutely.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this first page is perfect. And then each page, it looks like, is representing the different packages that you offer, and your client can kind of just click to the page that they're interested in reading more about. And then you do have the service selection component here. So we can look through. So yeah, you've got the option to select one. Selection's not required, so that's good. So we always just want to audit these settings and make sure that they're set up correctly based on what you're trying to do.
And Lauren, do you find people are people clicking through and getting to this page and making their selection?
I'd say about 30%.
Okay, awesome.
If that, it's honestly pretty low. I feel like people are pretty like they like to be, I love to know all the things. So for those people who love to know all the things, I want to give them all the things. Most people want a quick response.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's hit and miss with the people who really go through it all versus the people who just want you to respond to their email. But the ones that do go through it are the ones that are invested in me. They show up and I know I've got a repeat client from the beginning.
Awesome.
Cool.
I was just going to give a suggestion. You could try sending a very simplified version of this brochure just to see how people respond to that. Just a thought. You could duplicate this and send a brochure that basically just has a quick little blurb in your services. I would just recommend experimenting with both long form and short form.
I did change it up. I've done one with my seniors where all it is seniors. And I think I've done one with my because everybody loves a package. So I think I did one with like maternity inquiries where it's like, not only do you have a maternity, but also I also offer newborn and I offer this package together and I also offer you year round. And so like that, it's too much to put in a website, but I do have shorter versions of this for those two things. I just haven't had the chance to make the short form for all the crazy things I do.
That's the key, having time to actually do it.
So, Regina, would you say instead of one that has all of these pages, when you're talking about doing a shorter format, are you talking about basically just having the first page as is and then just having a second page with whatever services she wants to send to a specific person? Or how would you?
I would even try experimenting with one page where you you condense that first page's information into something really small, like just a few sections, just basically describing you and your services, and then list your services right underneath that. That way people can build their know, like, trust factor in 3 seconds, because let's be honest, some people have the attention span of a 2-year-old.
Right.
And sometimes all they need to do is read 3 reasons why you're amazing and then see what you offer. Some people are like that. And I've experimented with that with my own clients.
Cool. I love it. I am definitely the client that would get this and be like, oh my gosh, yes, like give me all of this information. Like I want to read it all, like sit down, like force my husband to sit down. We're going to read it. Like, that would be me. So everyone is different, right? So it's hard to know kind of what client you're dealing with, but I totally relate to the idea that like people, I mean, we're like instant gratification lifestyle. Everyone wants that quick access to the information they're requesting. So I get that need too. Cool. Regina, do you want to spend any more time in this file? Maybe we can check out next steps and kind of look through this. And I want to make sure we still have time to kind of go through the booking process. And I know Lauren has a step in her process where she has her clients go back to her website, and I want to kind of address that too. And we've got about 12 minutes left before we start opening up to questions. So I want to make sure we have time for everything.
Awesome. Looks good to me. Let's move on to a different part of the process.
Cool. Okay, great. Such a pretty smart file. I feel like I'm like chef's kiss. Like I love to look at an example like that where it's just like so nice. I'm sure for the audience too, like to be able to see a real life example that looks like that is awesome.
Okay, I want to replace that cover photo. It's like it's whatever came with the template, but I haven't invested in branding for myself, like branding for the business yet, but not pictures. Anyway, it's the generic cover.
Okay, but this is the file that you would be using at the time of booking. Okay, for your whole heart family proposal. Okay, great. Regina, where do you want to start on this one, or do you have any immediate suggestions?
Yes, I do see something. Okay, so I see where it says, hi, client. Okay, in my opinion, you should create a smart file so you can send it with no customization. It'll be okay. I mean, of course you can customize it if you want, but I'd get rid of the client.
It's a pain in the butt to put their name in it every single time.
I would just write, hi, friend, hi there. That way, if you have had a crazy day and, you're running short in sleep, you can just send the file as is, no customization needed.
Okay.
If you have a lot of bandwidth, then you can just customize all the things.
Do you feel like it's redundant to have an introduction after we already had the introduction with the initial welcome packet?
I personally,
no.
Yeah, I don't think it's redundant. I think it helps reassure them that they're in business with a person and makes them feel good when they're going into this moment where they're about to pull out their wallet. I think it's always worth your time to do that. I would also say after they submitted payment is another good place. And I don't know if Regina, if you don't agree with this, let me know. But I think after they've submitted payment as kind of like a next steps is always a good reminder. It's a good place to remind them of your process again.
Okay.
So like on that first welcome page where you have all those steps
Yes.
outlined, it's almost like a you are here, like here's where we're headed next, to cue them in again to like expectations around like what's to come. But Regina, I know like that I'm also like an information girly, so I don't know if that's like too much for most clients.
That is awesome. I have not tried that actually. Now you're inspiring me. I kind of want to add that now and see how it goes.
I think it's always helpful when someone has like, I don't know, I was just a bride in October, so I'm like thinking through my own experience, and like I always wished that I knew, especially when you're giving someone your money, you're like, so you're that client and you're in that moment, like take advantage of that excitement and that like they're yearning to work with you. They can't wait for their session now. And if it ends at that moment where they hit pay, it's kind of anticlimactic in some way. Like to cue them into like, here's what's to come. Here's what's next. Here's what you can expect from me. Like, I love the client journey mapped out at the beginning, so I know what to expect. And now it's like, I'm in the middle of it. Remind me again. Like, I don't want to have to go back and find that file. As the client, I want to be aware of like where we're at, what's coming next, so that I feel really good about that payment. I know exactly what's on your plate to do, what you're expecting from me, and where we go from here.
Now, I do have, and it's not quite HoneyBook related, but I love that you love my website because I invested a really pretty penny in it in the beginning of this year. And part of what I wanted was I made a client suite.
Right.
Which is like basically what you think of like as a client brochure, physical, whatever, like you make them on Canva. But I wanted it as part of a website with a private login so that when they pay their invoice, they now have access to this. And it has my access to like style and select and blah, blah, blah. But I do already in that client suite have those steps of here's what to expect in there. Do you feel like it's redundant to do it since it's already within my client suite and the proposed? I do like what you said though about like it's not just about the money, it's about the client experience. I'm just wondering what you guys feel like best practices for that.
Again, I don't feel like it's redundant. I think the more you can give your clients access to finding that information, maybe the first time it goes in one ear and out the other, the second time it finally starts to stick, and by the third time they see it, they're like, yeah, I already know this is the next step. You know, like you're really, again, inviting them into that process and getting them super familiar with it. Regina, what do you think?
No, I agree 100%. Absolutely.
Cool. Great. Yeah. And I think also one thing to just quickly point out for folks in the audience, I love the invoice, contract, and then payment. You can always change the order of these pages. When you set it up this way, the invoice. Oh, also I want to point out this, which I think is just from the template gallery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is one of the big questions that we get asked. I like to point it out, but it's also kind of tricky because this can't connect to the payment schedule.
Yes.
I get a lot of folks asking, how do I know, I want to let my clients select the payment schedule that they want. So it's a little bit tricky when you include it with the invoice, but this is a great section to include in the service selection portion, so that when you go to build the invoice or send the invoice, you have a pay in full option and a to payment option, and you can pull in the proper invoice based on how the client responds to this question. So
I like that.
Not super helpful in this particular file, but I would love to see it in a service selection file, so long as the service selection file does not contain the invoice element.
Yes.
But, again, love to see the invoice that outlines the services the client's receiving, payment schedule. Then they're going to review the legal terms. They're going to sign down at the bottom, and then they've got the ability to pay. So that's kind of the typical flow that we like to see. That's a business best practice, to have the client legally agree to it and then go to the payment page. And you can always reorder those things. Okay, about 6 minutes left here to talk about your client suite, because this is a part of your process that is operating outside of HoneyBook. Regina, do you want to kind of ask any clarifying questions that you have there, and then we can talk through maybe different options that Lauren has there?
Yeah, Lauren, whenever you say client suite, what system is it? Through your website directly? What system do you use?
It's a direct website. I don't know if you can pull it up or if you want to, but it's my website's /client-suite. And then it pops up with a gorgeous picture and there's a login password. It's the same password for everybody. And then I basically, what I'm trying to do is put a center and I use my blog posts. So, here's blog posts with my favorite locations. So you're looking for a location, here's all these blog posts. You're looking to style your family, here's tips and tricks in the login to style and select. And here's blog posts about how to dress your family for whatever color, that type of thing. And then if you keep scrolling down, there's a part where it's prepping your family for photos and how to get your family pumped up and excited. If you scroll to the footer, there's a part that says client suite. It's not a part of the menu because it's like secret, but if it's there in the footer.
Cool.
And then the password is hearts.
Oh, cute.
Oops. Am I doing it wrong? Is it
There's no capital.
Okay. We don't have to check it out. It's fine.
Okay. Is it heart with an S on the end?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, so it's basically your resources. This is how you share your resources with your clients. That way you don't have to send out a file in each project.
Yes.
Got it. And just so you know, I set up a lot of clients who have hybrid systems like this. They've got different tools in their website that they share with their clients, and they use HoneyBook for other tasks. I do, of course, I'm a little biased. I like to have my clients do a lot of this in smart files just so they can see the advantage of having everything into one file.
Right.
But I do like your hybrid way of sharing resources through your website and then HoneyBook for your client communication.
I just figured the more I keep them on my website, the better for my bounce rate and the better for. So as much as I love HoneyBook, I wanted to keep that because then see now they're scrolling through my blog posts and they're like super jacked because they're seeing all the pictures and they're seeing all the information. They see that I know what I'm talking about and my tone and blah, blah, blah. So that was my thought process for there.
Do people ever get confused though? Because they have a client portal through HoneyBook. Now they have a client portal through your website. Does that ever create a pain point or confusion for your clients?
Not that Meredith's asking if I don't know how much my client suite gets used. I'm going to be honest. I think that they definitely use it for, like, when I reference it, they go to it. Mm-hmm. But again, like it's what percentage of your clients are like super extra like I am and want all the information.
Right.
So if they're wanting help with styling, before I go through back and forth of what they like, I just send them there.
Yeah.
Again, with like, if they're wanting help with locations, I'll say, oh, there's a great blog post on the client suite about like my favorite locations in your area. So they'll use it if they have a specific question, but I have found that just to browse for information, I don't think it gets used very often for that, to be honest.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So if you did want to test out having this as a smart file, you can still hyperlink out to your blogs. You can still have, columns with your header images, with your blurb and the read more button that they can click into. Like, I'm not seeing anything here, even stylistically and from a functionality perspective, that you wouldn't be able to build into a smart file. Like each of these could be a page. And then
I'm going to be honest, if I didn't pay somebody to do the website, I absolutely would have used HoneyBook and built it myself. But because I had somebody who knew how to make it pretty, that I did it that way. But if I hadn't done that, I would have 100% used HoneyBook and done something like this
Cool.
Although when I did it before Smart Files
Mhm.
became a thing. So
Right.
so that was also part of.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Because in the same way too that you are kind of automatically saying like, hey, check out your client portal, you can automatically send a smart file. So you could build literally the same. And I think this is probably obviously just a thing to get the audience and their gears turning about their own process, maybe. If they're like seeing your process, they're like, oh my God, I need to start doing this. For the audience to know, you can set up an automation where based on a smart file being submitted, based on a contract being signed, based on payment being submitted, any of those things are triggers and automations. You can send out a new smart file. So you could have a kind of client resource smart file guide set up in HoneyBook. And once your client has gone through the booking process, you can automatically trigger that next send.
And I do also want to point out, this is the reason why I prefer sending out resources with HoneyBook over my website is because then I can track to see if my client has actually gone and viewed it. Because I know if they aren't viewing it, I need to resend and send them another reminder. Whereas if it's a website link, I don't always know if they've actually clicked through.
That makes sense.
So that can be one more advantage.
Great. Okay. Thank you guys so much, Lauren. Thank you so much
Thank you so much.
HotSeat today. This was so helpful. Regina, so good. So much good content today and so much good advice. I know the audience is like so excited to have all of this information. I appreciate you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Mac.
Of course. I appreciate you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday.